The state of the globe's education system is set to be laid bare today. The International Task Force on Teachers is hosting a policy dialogue forum in Sandton. The two-day forum will bring together international education stakeholders to exchange ideas while advocating for teachers and the teaching profession around the world. The forum will also see the launch of the first UNESCO Global Report on teacher shortages. Deputy President Paul Mashatile and Basic Education Minister Angie are expected to attend the forum.
Well, Newzroom Afrika Zola Sholwana joins us live now from Sandton. Zola, good morning to you. Talk to us firstly about what you're seeing there, the arrivals and really what we were expecting from the program.
Well, Naledi, today's program is really about addressing the most critical issue at hand right now, which is the shortage of teachers globally, not only in South Africa. Now, a study that was conducted by UNESCO a couple of years ago suggests that by the year 2030, the world will be in need of about 69 million teachers. And obviously, today's roundtable that will be led by Minister of Basic Education, Angie, will be looking into that issue. And we're joined by Mr. who's from the Department of Education. So thank you very much for your time. We understand that obviously the discussion hasn't started yet, but if you could perhaps tell us about what are the challenges or what is leading to the issue of teacher shortage in South Africa in particular.
Well, basically the problem of teacher shortages doesn't affect us that much in South Africa, because from a numbers perspective in South Africa we are producing sufficient numbers. The challenge with us is what we call the shape and substance, which means that do we have the right teachers in the right areas, and whether do we have the required competencies of teachers. So whilst we have the right numbers, we still have challenges with the fact that we are producing too many secondary school teachers and not enough primary school teachers, with the result that we even using some of the people who are trained in secondary school in primary school to try and address the issue of the shortage. So that's the challenge that we have in South Africa, which is slightly different from the global challenge, because globally the challenge is actually the availability of qualified teachers, with a number of countries still relying on unqualified and short-term contract teachers to try and address the issue of the teacher shortages.
Now, are there any strategies that are put in place to validate, the teaching profession, just to ensure that there isn't a shortage of at least primary school teachers, like you've just mentioned?
Yes, we're using different strategies to try and address that. One of those strategies is the use of our Funza Lushaka bursary scheme, where we are prioritizing in terms of offering those bursaries areas where there are shortages. And we are also trying to coordinate the training of teachers, because there are bursaries that are offered by provincial education departments, and there are other private sector organizations that provide bursaries for teaching. So we are communicating with them to communicate the areas of shortages, so that when bursaries are offered, we can prioritize areas of shortage so that we can attract more people into this area and improve our supply in those areas.
Now, just before I let you go, Mr. Rabutabi, how are you addressing challenges around policies on teacher education as South Africa?
Well, the issue of teacher policies is mainly meant to address firstly the issues of quality. And in this regard, we're working, of course, with Department of Higher Education, Science and Innovation, which is in charge of the universities, because they are the ones who are producing our teachers, so that we bring more alignment between what they are training our teachers on and what our system is expecting. And secondly, we're trying to improve on what we call work integrated learning. We want our students who are at universities and studying teaching to be exposed more to the situation in our schools, so that they don't rely on theory in universities, but they can also be exposed to the practical situation in our schools, and so that can bridge the gap between their training and what they are experiencing in school. The other area that we are strengthening is our induction of our newly qualified teachers. We did not have a nationally driven induction program, and that's what we are now putting in place, so that we can ensure that our newly qualified teachers are properly orientated into our education system, and that we can also put proper systems for mentoring and support of our new teachers, so that they don't drown out alone when they are out there in the field. So those are the measures that we are addressing through policy, so that we can improve both the supply, we can improve the quality, but also improve the retention, because one of the challenges we have is people that we apply in areas of scarcity, but they don't stay, and then they leave to look for more lucrative areas to teach. So we are also trying to improve measures to retain teachers, quality teachers, in areas where there is scarcity, particularly in your rural areas and in areas that are hard to teach.
Thank you very much for your time, Mr. Rabotapi. That was Mr. Rabotapi from the Department of Basic Education. Of course, later on, we are expecting ministers from different countries, such as China, where on the table they'll be discussing and exploring ideas on how they could possibly assist each other. As you might have heard Mr. Rabotapi mentioning that South Africa doesn't really have an issue with shortage of teachers, but they could, do with a little bit of advice as to how can they improve the quality of their teachers, so that also impacts the quality of education that is provided. Now, lady, back to you in studio.
Very important discussions there. Our reporter Zola Sholwana speaking to us from Sandton.